The night was cold, the air thick with the scent of damp asphalt as Rain drove through the dimly lit streets with his wife. They were late, rushing to an event that now feels insignificant compared to what happened next. A sudden blur. The screech of tires. And then, impact. A small body tumbled across the pavement like a rag doll before lying still. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, reality slammed into Ryan. Ryan hit the brakes hard, the car jerking to a stop. His hands trembled as he gripped the steering wheel, Ryan's heart hammering against his ribs. Ryan's wife turned to him, her voice sharp with urgency. "Don't stop. We're already late. Someone else will help him." Her words barely registered. Ryan's gaze was locked on the boy, his frail body sprawled across the cold pavement, his chest barely rising and falling. A dark stain of blood spread beneath him. He was so small. So helpless. Ryan couldn't just drive away. "I can't leave him," Ryan said, already pushing the door open. My wife groaned in frustration. "You're always like this. We have our own lives to worry about." Maybe she was right. Maybe stopping would cause us trouble. Maybe it would make us late. But none of that mattered. Ryan rushed to the boy, kneeling beside him. His lips were pale, his breathing shallow. He tried to move, but pain twisted his face. "It's okay," Rain whispered, carefully lifting him into his arms. "I've got you." He carried him to the car, but Rain's wife crossed her arms, refusing to get out. "I'll wait here," she said coldly. Rain didn't argue. He drove as fast as he could to the hospital, ignoring his wife's silence beside him. At the emergency room, doctors and nurses rushed the boy from my arms. He stayed, pacing the hallway, waiting for news. Hours passed before a nurse finally emerged. "He's stable," she said with a small smile. Relief crashed over me. Rain stepped into the room, and the boy, pale, bruised, but alive, turned his head toward Ryan. "Thank you for saving me," he whispered weakly. Ryan smiled. "Just rest. You're going to be okay." Ryan left that night, never knowing his name. Ryan never expected to see him again. Years later, life moved on. The incident became a memory, a moment Rain carried in his heart but rarely spoke of. Then, one night, fate came knocking again. Their daughter hadn't come home. His wife was pacing the living room, her phone clutched in her hand. Then the phone rang. She snatched it up, her voice desperate. "Hello?" A stranger's voice echoed through the line. "Your daughter, she's been hit by a motorcycle." The world seemed to stop. Ryan watched as the color drained from his wife's face. "What?" she gasped, her hand covering her mouth. "Is she?" "She's alive, but barely," the voice continued. "She's been rushed to the hospital. You need to come now." They tore through the streets, the car moving too fast yet somehow not fast enough. At the hospital, the smell of antiseptic burned Rain's nose. They ran through the halls until a doctor blocked our way. "She's in critical condition," he said gravely. "There's only one surgeon who can save her, but he's in surgery right now. If you take her anywhere else, she won't make it." Ryan's wife's sobs broke through the air. "Please," she begged, clutching his sleeve. "She's my only daughter." And then, from the far end of the corridor, a voice rang out. "I'll do it." They turned. A doctor stood there, his face partially shadowed, his expression calm yet determined. Rain didn't know him. Or so he thought. Without another word, he disappeared into the operating room. The longest hours of Ryan's life crawled by as Rain held his wife, whispering prayers Ryan wasn't even sure he believed in. Finally, the doors swung open, and the doctor stepped out. "She will survive," he said. Tears blurred Ryan's vision as relief hit him like a tidal wave. His wife collapsed against his chest, sobbing. Rain turned to the doctor, gripping his hands. "Thank you. You saved her life. Why did you do this for us?" He looked at him, his eyes filled with something deeper than kindness, something like destiny. And then, he smiled. "You once saved my life when I was a little boy," he said. "I could never forget that." Rain breath caught in my throat. It was him. The boy he had pulled from the road all those years ago, the boy his wife had begged me to leave behind, had just saved his daughter's life. Ryan turned to his wife, watching realization dawn in her tear-streaked eyes. One choice. One moment of kindness. And it had come full circle. Because good always comes back.